One of the things we want to talk about with Scion is lease. Let's say that some parents are looking to get a car, a pre-owned car for their 16-year-old that's a sophomore in high school, or for somebody going to college. They want to make sure the car is safe, especially for a 16-year-old. You want to make sure the car has the latest safety technology in the car. Putting a child in a 10-year-old car kind of defeats the purpose of learning how to drive. If there's equipment in a 2015 model car that would make them a better driver, then let's make sure that we can avoid an accident. And if there is an accident, make sure that the child survives. I hate to be that graphic, but that's why you move people into a new car, is because the cars just get better each year. The example I'm going to give you is a regional example from the last couple of months. Make sure you break down your lease for the Scion TC based upon your region and what's going on with TFS right now. So let's look at first slide. Here's the parameters of this lease as I break it down. There's $2,999. That's money down. That's in the top right-hand corner. That's money down. That'll be money down on a 36-month lease. That'll be money down on the retail 60 and the retail 72. The MSRP is $21,130, and Scion makes it very easy for us. We don't have to worry about discount. So that's the selling price of the car. We'll be looking at a 2015 Scion TC model 6222. Zero lease cash on this lease was offered by Toyota, so everything remains square. So let's look at what happens on the first drop-in. I call it the rule of thumb. And when a money factor gets so low, like 0.000 or 0.0000 and then a number, when the money factor gets so low that it's almost 0%. So let's look at this. So the money factor on this TC lease is 0.00001, which is the lowest money factor by law. A money factor can't reflect total zero. The retail, and this is confusing for customers, and I apologize, maybe it's just a southern thing, but people have told me, why is it 9%? And I always point out there's a dot there. There's a dot after the 0 before the 9. That's 0.9%. So maybe the easiest way to explain this to a customer is less than 1%. And then I went ahead and added 4% on the 72-month retail, because you always want to add a few more points of rate, because 72 months really protects your customers. Being facetious, hope you got that. The payment on this is going to be $150.20 a month. And I want to be clear, I never calculate tax into any deal. I don't calculate tax into retail. I don't calculate tax into lease. For some reason, the government doesn't allow us to negotiate the tax number. So everything is post-deal, then you add the tax. I don't see why any customer would get mad at us because their payment goes up because of state tax. So I do every single negotiation, and every math problem I'll ever do for you will always be net of tax. $150.20. That's a tremendous payment for a 16-year-old in a car like a TC. If I decide, no, Casey, I just want to go ahead and take care of the less than 1% interest, and I'm just going to go ahead and buy the car 60 months, the payment goes to $303. The first part of my math in my brain says, if I do $150.20 times 2, it still doesn't equal up to $303. So my statement would be, I can get my son and my daughter a car and still be less than $303. The kiss of death on 72 months is the customer sees the 2. They don't see the $284 plus tax. They see the 2. And they go, oh, I can afford that. And so now we've extended the term. The customer's really not protected. They're out of the game for a long time. And it's because that number starts with a 2 and they know so little about leasing. Let's progress and look at what happens next. If I take $150.20 and I multiply it times the term of the lease, 36 months, that's $5,407.20. That is my total sum of payments for the entire lease. Please tell me, by putting $3,000 down on a used car, what kind of used car you're getting for your child for $5,407.20. And that's not the cost. The cost is the $5,407.20 and how much it takes me over the 3 years to keep the thing running. Always keep in your mind that car deals end up math. No matter how hard you want them not to be math, every car deal ends up math, and math is absolute. 303 times 36 is $10,908. Why would you pay $10,908 to drive the car for 36 months when you could pay $54,0720? You still haven't paid off the car because you still owe 24 payments. Over here, not as good a deal now. So now it's $10,224 on the 72-month retail, and you still owe another 36 months. The guaranteed future value or residual on this particular lease from TFS was $13,641. I want all you guys to stop, maybe pause, do the math, and see what the percentage to MSRP that TFS guaranteed this vehicle for 36 months. Unbelievable. You're going to be devastated when you work that math out. Over here, I still have 72. I've been doing this a long time, so let me give you a guess. I believe this car is going to be worth somewhere around 11, 10.5 wholesale when the customer gets ready to trade it in after 36 months. So automatically the customer has $3,000 worth of equity. That's why you buy a Toyota, a Lexus, or a Scion, is because if you drive it long enough, you're going to have equity. But the problem with this math is $3,000 worth of equity only equals the money that you put down. So it's not equity. That was your money down. You're just getting your own money back. It's almost like a tax return. I don't know why people get so excited about it. Over here, obviously you still owe $10,224, and this deal starts to get really ugly. The difference between $10,908, 60 months, and $10,224 is $684. So if you went 72 months, you've spent $684 less for the first 36 months. But you and I both know as you extend the term, you're going to give all that back plus some. The number in red, $5,580. That is the difference between $54,0720 and $10,908. So the statement here is, you've driven the car for 3 years, and out of your pocket, you've spent $5,500.80 less to drive the car. If you really want to continue the math here, look at this. $5,500 is more money than $54,07. So you've saved more than you spent. Unbelievable. Somebody told me one time, well, Casey, I'm going to put some extra miles on the car. Well, use the $5,500 to pay the mileage penalty. I'm scared about a little wear and tear charge. Might be a couple of dings or something in it. Well, spend the $200 or $300 that TFS might charge you for wear and tear. Use the $5,500 to pay the wear and tear. So it doesn't matter how you work it out. If you're trying to buy a car for a short-term period of time and keep your money in your pocket, the lease is looking better and better. And remember, the first 2 years or 25,000 miles, Toyota takes care of us with the maintenance with Toyota Care. If I want to buy the car, that's the cool thing about leasing a car. At the end, if I want to buy the car, I buy it for $13,641. That's the residual or the guaranteed future value. So if I add everything up, net of the $3,000, it's going to cost me $19,048.20 to own the car. It's mine plus tax. Now, nobody wants to lie about math. If I pay $303 for 60 months, it's only costing me $18,180. So the difference is about $800. So you're paying $800 more if you own the car. So the question is, are you okay with a $303 payment? And at the end of 24 months, then I'm going to start paying for maintenance. I've got brakes. I got a set of tires. I've got a 60K. It seems to me like at the 36-month period of time, you should give the car back to TFS and get another TC and try to get your payment down to $150.20 again. No matter how hard you work the math, it's going to be better to drive the new technology. Again, if you look over at the 72-month, I keep beating this up, but you pay $20,448 for the car if you go 72 months. So any way that you look at this, I can own the car, I can achieve equity, I can get a higher payment or a lower payment. But one thing about it is, when your credibility gets to the point where your customer will let you put a grid out there like this, a mathematical matrix like this, and you look at where I'm going to drive the car and where the expense comes in, and you put in maintenance and repair cost, and you look at new technology coming out, the customer's always better off in a lease. And when Toyota, TFS, subvents a lease, participates in a lease like they've done with this, with the .00001, it even puts more money back in the customer's pocket. This has been PK52, a division of the Saturday Morning Meeting.